Ang ingay daw natin eh.
Recorded ito?
Yeah.
Hindi mo naman eh. Hindi mo naman eh. Hindi
Yeah, that's a good deep.
Good afternoon, brothers and sisters in Christ. My name is Lingo. And my wife. Sunday tomorrow. We wrote as a management apostolate. We have a foundation admin, Joel and Leslie Javier, assistant, Grace and Roy Tolentino.
Francisco.
Grace and Roy Tolentino, sorry. Francisco. Okay. Service ministry, Moni and Gary Gamboa. Assistant Rex and Gail Mundihar. And management services, Giorgio and Michelle. And treasury, admin Deset and Ignato. Assistant Jose De La Torre. As management apostolate steward, today we are called and we are so thankful to our Almighty Lord, given this time to come together at this community leadership. Before I introduce management, let me read the passage from 1 Peter chapter 2, verse 2 and 3. Be shepherd of good flock that is under your care, serving all overseers, not because of your mass, but because you are willing as God wants you to be, not greedy for money, but eager to serve, not lording it over those entrusted to you, but being examples to the flock.
Good afternoon. We are the management apostolate team. We are here to give you what's going on the management apostolate. So, the management team first concern for the DDCS in the area of management is the thorn is in treasury, and buds we have in foundation, and for the secretary we have buds suggestion email address in the secretariat broadcast email. So I will not tell you a long story, so we have to get a report from our ministry. So we have to call on formation. Foundation. I'm sorry, foundation.
Good afternoon, everyone. I'm Giselle. This is my husband. Yeah, so for the foundation ministry, the fundraising and concessions are already scheduled for 2025. So we are monitoring, and we will provide support as needed for 2026 and forward, and yeah, beyond. The plan is to do the fundraising outside PLD, because I think we already exhausted our members, because all of the fundraising is actually within the community. So we wanted to have outside, but it's actually hard. But with, of course, the help of the members, so so hopefully we will do that next year. Example, the golf, and also bowling, and also other fundraising. So we will ask the community's support, to do that, and to help the foundation to implement all the plans for 2026. And that's it. Thank you. Service ministry.
Magandang hapon po. Bago sa lahat, salamat po sa mga donor natin ng pagkain. And my name is Gary. And yeah, hello everybody. And I'm going to introduce to you the Speaker of the House.
Good afternoon, everybody. I'm Marie Gamboa, the wife of Gary. Okay. For the service ministry, just to update you, I believe we were not listed as with any concern on the chart, but just to update you on the actions that we have taken. We have ensured the readiness of the venue during the praise and worship, such as the registration table and the church proper. And then we did also the reset venue task diligently. So we have new members of the service team, of the service ministry, which we had 3 couples from the ME46 who accepted our invitation, and we received 1 acceptance yesterday also, 1 couple. So that is 4 couples in total. And then the 3 members have already been trained and have been assisting the venue setup and the counting of the tithes, the love offerings. Yeah. We have also cleaned the storage area in the basement and at the back of the altar last December 2024. We have removed and discarded those items which are no longer needed. We did a list of items we found in the storage and at the back of the altar, and we have provided that list to the management apostolate. We also attended the demonstration for the ID tapping conducted by Anthony Villena last January. And then we're scheduled to have the first monthly meeting of the existing service ministry, which is composed of the 4 SPE members. That will be tomorrow. Okay, for the items to be addressed, we noticed that the basement storage is already full. So there are no more space allotment for new items. But there are still some items in the basement that are old and not being used. So the question is, do we keep them? Do we discard them? What do we need to do with those items, like the old speakers, the old keyboards, and the organ? Because if we discard those items, we can free some space in the storage. So that's number one. Number two, there is also no control regarding the access in the basement storage, like this, the one at the back. So we suggest that the request to access should only come from the ministry coordinator, and then access should only be obtained from the management apostolate, management services, and service ministry coordinator. And those items removed and returned should be properly logged. Because what's happening right now is kahit sino na lang will approach us to, okay, can we remove? So it would be better if proper channels will be used to have access to those two. The one in the storage and the one at the back of the outlet. So para ma-properly monitor natin yung gamit natin. And then number 3 is the late closing of the venue during or after praise and worship. Because right now what's happening is we usually close around 11 or past 11. So it would be better if the activities after praise and worship, like the concession, the practices, the meetings, can be completed before at around 10:15, before 10:30, so that the service ministry, we can reset the venue and complete our task at exactly 10:30. Kasi minsan nag-e-extend so kami nag-e-extend din. And that's Friday and Saturday, we know that during, pagod na tayo lahat nun. So, yeah, that's it. Thank you.
Management services.
Michelle and I represents Management Service Ministry, and just to highlight our report, the ministry currently assists in the service ministry in ensuring the availability and readiness of our equipment during our corporate praise and worship. It includes the setup of sound system, projector, microphones, laptop, monitors, and others. And we also help out in the cleanup and return of the equipment to the storage. Just like what Moni said, last year we conducted the inventory of BLD property located in St. Matthews Storage. And this is in coordination with Edwin Saberon and Tito Emil. We also reorganized the area for an easy retrieval and return of items. But still, issue pa rin yung storage. So, as she mentioned, wala nang ganong space. So, siguro if we can free up those big items na hindi na ginagamit, so maybe we can get few more space. And we were also given detailed information and instructions on how to use the DLD attendance management system, which will be in operation soon. It was demonstrated by Antoy and Jackie. So they only demonstrated the basic use, how to set up the system, to have the machine, and it's more on operating the the basic system of the attendance machine. Hopefully, if we were able to acquire an updated laptop, so maybe we can begin with the next process of printing the IDs. So we will have another meeting with Antoy with regard to that, so that once we can produce the ID, then probably we can start like a demonstration during Friday's praise and worship. And then in preparation for the use of the ID system, we started taking photos of those BLD members who have not yet have their ID taken. So last night we were able to take pictures of those new members, BLD members, and we will try to. I have a list of those members that wala pang photo ID. So every week, if ever one of them shows up, then if Gem is available, then we can take pictures of them. Lastly, the ministry is planning to implement the centralization of supplies needed during the BLD encounters. Supplies, more specifically the tissue papers, paper towels, the cutleries, tissues especially. Because we noticed na after nung encounters, maraming natitirang excess na what we do is we collect them. So medyo marami kami dito sa storage ngayon. So in the future, we're planning to gamitin muna yung mga excess in the beginning, and then we will also buy new ones pag naubos na yung mga use. So upon request, we can give some more, especially dun sa mga tissues. And that's it.
Okay. Next is Secretariat, but the Secretariat is on holiday. Yeah, now please sit down and relax, and here is the big spike, the treasury. Yeah, one step down. And then.
Good afternoon ulit. Malungkot Hindi naman malungkot yung balita natin. Before anything else, I'll be giving an update on behalf of the ministry. But before we dive in, I'd like to take a moment to acknowledge some of the few of the incredible people that work behind the scenes to keep the treasury running smoothly. First and foremost, my husband Eddie, whose task is to make sure that all the forms are accurate, complete, and timely before namin i-enter sa donation software. And then our amazing and very organized Ate Josie De La Torre. Before that, pag nakita niyo si Eddie na hinahanap kayo, huwag kayong magtago ha, and don't run away. So that ibig sabihin, he needs something from you. And then Ate Josie is responsible for the cash deposits and the data entry and reconciliation of the donations. And equally important are the incumbent coordinators, treasury coordinators, Giselle and June, Michelle and Jojo. They offered invaluable support during the change of hats. And also the Solitas, Ate Bing, and Tia Jojo for signing off our financial statements because si Kuya Jojo ang accountant ng BLD. Okay? Most of all, I wish thank you to all of you for your patience and understanding during the transition. Kasi very important sa atin, especially with the treasury, that we have continuity of our records because we have to report them, right? We have regulatory requirements to the CRA. So as we deep dive in our topics today, I was asked to present two information, a little bit of info session and the financial reporting. So before that, let's imagine BLD as a ship sailing on a vast and serene waters. So much like the ship, BLD is also aiming to ensure that we navigate the vast waters of charitable work with a steady hand, clear direction, and commitment to excellence. Good governance is like the skilled captain and crew members, right, who are steering the vessel. It ensures that we stay on course, we avoid turbulent waters, and we arrive to our destination safely and efficiently. So just as a well-organized and governed ship, the ship relies on its crew, on the adherence to navigational principles. So our charity, or any charity, also relies on the principles of transparency, accountability, yung gaya sabi ni Tito Alice kanina, and integrity to guide our actions and decisions. So this is our vision and mission. And our mission is really special, right? So we aside from our looking after to the needs of our families and our community, we are also dedicated to fight poverty, support environmental efforts, and good governance is embedded in our mission. It's at the very bottom right there, right? So ibig sabihin yan, the good governance is the backbone of our mission. It keeps everything running smoothly and effectively. Just like the hull of the ship, it keeps it steady on course. So with this strong foundation, we can be confident that we can face any challenges and make a lasting impact to the communities and the families and the individuals we serve. So we have a few topics today. I hope I can cover them within the allotted time. We will be talking about the difference or the distinction between a nonprofit or charity, and then the non-compliance, and the measures we have in place to be prepared for that, and also the CRA's guides and checklists, as well as the BLD. We will be introducing to you the BLD standard forms to make our process run efficiently and more streamlined. And then finally, we have the 2024 financial statements. So as we engage in our various activities throughout the year, because this is the beginning of 2025, it's important for us to take a moment to reflect, pause and reflect on our current practices and consider these actions. Are we consistently meeting the CRA's compliance requirements for registered charities? Are we managing our processes in the right way to ensure that transparency and trust is within the bounds of charity regulations? So hopefully, by the end of this info session, you'll be able to have the answers that you need. Okay, and with that, let's delve into the first topic. Can anyone tell me the difference between a nonprofit and a charity? Anyone? One of the differences? Because understanding these differences between a nonprofit and charity is crucial for our work, because not all nonprofits are charities, but all charities are nonprofits. So nonprofits serve various purposes, such as civic improvement, social welfare, and recreation, such as like the hobby clubs, sports clubs, professional associations. Those are examples of nonprofits. They do not register with the CRA for tax purposes. They do not receive tax benefits or cannot issue receipts, donation receipts, and they do not earn profits because their members use the money to support their cause or goal. So nonprofits can register as charitable organization to use funds for their mission and administrative expenses. And to operate in British Columbia, the charity must be incorporated as a society under the Societies Act of BC. This means that it must adhere to the provincial regulations, including maintaining the bylaws, holding annual general meetings, which is what we do, and filing annual reports. And to gain the benefits of a registered charity under the ITA, which is the Income Tax Act of the Canada Revenue Agency, the charity must apply for and receive charitable status from the Canada Revenue Agency. And that's why our legal name is Lucas Loob sa Diyos, Vancouver District Society, because we are registered under the Societies Act and also registered under the ITA. This allows the charity to issue tax receipts to donors and be exempt from paying income tax on donations and income from their activities. It also requires the charity for specific charitable purposes, such as relief of poverty, advancement of education, advancement of religion, which we are, and other community benefits. Okay, so next question is the church a charity? Yes or no? Yes. So yes, the church is considered charity. Just like BLD, we all enjoy the same advantages and obligations and face similar requirements under the Canada Revenue Agency. We're committed to serving the community and adhering to the principles of good governance. But being a registered charity comes with significant benefits. That's an example of the registration in the Canada Revenue Agency. So you see here St. Matthew's Roman Catholic, the Archbishop of Vancouver, and Bukas Love sa Diyos. They're all registered charities. They have their own business registration number, and we fall under the designation charitable organization with a charity type advancement of religion. So pare-pareho lang. So as mentioned a while ago, we have charity comes with significant benefits, but it also carries important and heavier obligations. Just like what I said, we issue donation receipts to allow donors to claim tax deductions, and we are exempt from paying income taxes. We're exempt from paying GST, HST. It also enables the organization to receive financial support from other registered charities, which we have received last year as an example. And being recognized as a charity enhances our organization's credibility. However, charities must devote its resources to charitable activities. And we have to have an oversight and direction and control of all the use of all our resources. We also need to file a T3010, which is the annual information return. And we have to have an annual spending requirement. This one, we're still not there yet. That's the disbursement quota. So I will not expand on that. We have to have reliable and complete books and records, accurate official donation receipts, and must be a Canadian entity. So just to give you statistics, as of February 13, there are 136,300 registered charities in Canada. And 37% of that has been revoked with different reasons. One, audited, there were 611 audited, 25,100 failed to file, others are 98. Voluntary revocation is 24,692, and then allowed 220. So yung naiwan na lang is 85,579. And out of that, out of the 50,501, 17% were from the education sector, 29% from the religion sector, 40% on community services, and 14% on poverty alleviation. Kasi yun yung 4 different types of charities in Canada. And on your right side, between 2024-2025, there were 2,075 revoked charities. Okay, and in BC alone, there were 277 revoked charities for the last year. So why am I showing these figures? I'm showing these figures to highlight both the scale and volatility of the charitable landscape, reflecting various operational, administrative, and strategic challenges that the charities face across different sectors, and the importance that we remain compliant. So this was just a list of the names of the charities that were revoked. I only have 10 minutes. And feel free to ask me a copy of that if you need, but I will not discuss that more. And this is an example of the most recent charity that was revoked. So basically what I'm saying here is that CRA
does not have a threshold in terms of revenue, in terms of the audits. They can always select based on risk-based assessment, right? So just like for this one, the revenue is less than $10,000, but they were revoked as a result of their books and records are incomplete, and they didn't file their income tax information return as well. So we have the CRA has provided guidance and checklists. I'll discuss more on the allowable activities, books and records, and receipting, and also what are the allowable activities under the charity. So as long as the business supports its purpose, social is not charitable but limited to raising funds, and fundraising is not a charitable activity. It is allowed, but expenses should be reasonable. So for books and records, we need to have, as a charity, source documents, vouchers, receipts, invoices, donation receipts, minutes of the meetings, 10-year gifts, minutes of the meetings of the members, all governing documents and bylaws, FS, and general ledgers. So source documents are original receipts, invoices, bank statements, credit cards, expense reports, and written agreements and travel logs. Those are just examples that CRA provides as our guidelines. And so I was asked to give you the definition of the cash gift, non-cash gift, fair market value, intention to give threshold, the de minimis threshold. This is a lot to explain, and I don't have enough time to expand on that. So feel free to ask me na lang kung anong definition if say for example you encounter this. But straightforward cash gift is a monetary. This is a currency like your cash or checks or electronic transfers. They're easy to value and it has an immediate tax benefit for the donor. The non-cash gift is, of course, it is a donation made in the form other than money. It can be complex to value and may require additional documentation or appraisal. Fair market value is the price that the property would sell on an open market between a willing buyer and a willing seller. And the intention to give threshold and de minimis threshold, these are CRA requirements for the non-cash gift. There's a certain calculation for that, but we haven't received large non-cash gifts in BLD yet, so we can discuss that at a later stage. We have received questions about out-of-pocket expenses, whether an official donation receipt can be issued in place of a check to reimburse volunteers for expenses incurred on behalf of the charity. So basically, in short, it is allowed, but it has to have a check-to-check replacement. We cannot issue a donation receipt in lieu of the receipt, but there has to have an intention of reimbursement. So we will address that with the form that we will introduce. Yung caveat lang ng CRA, which is at the very bottom there. And also, official donation receipts, whether gifts or services, qualify as charitable donations. It says here that the charity cannot issue a receipt for a gift or service, but if a charity can issue receipts once it pays for a service provider for services. And then the service provider has the right to donate the money back to the charity. So forms. These are the new forms that we have that we will be introducing. We have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 7 different forms. The expense reimbursement is the formerly known as check voucher, and we have the cash advance request. It's a short-term cash advance, which needs to be submitted within a reasonable number of days after the conclusion of the activity. We have the acknowledgement receipt. That is in lieu of missing receipts, the non-cash donation or gift in kind, and non-cash donation with a fair market value calculation, and cash advance liquidation and fundraising remittance. So these are examples of the vouchers. So for payment reimbursement, this is how you fill this out. And then the gift in kind non-cash. That is exactly what I was saying. This is formally what we say, love offering non-cash, right? The receipts. So what we just added is the caveat at the very top that you have the right to direct your funds as a reimbursement. Nothing has changed other than just the caveat at the top. Next is the cash advance request form. Pretty much self-explanatory. The cash advance liquidation form. The acknowledgement form, because before, you used to have nasa post-it lang yung mga acknowledgement ng mga stipends or mga binibigay na cash to a third party. So now we have a cash acknowledgement form. And then we have the gift in kind non-cash with fair market value. So that's the one I was referring to with the certain calculations. And this is the flow chart of, say, you have a non-cash donation or as a result of an out-of-pocket expenses. So basically, you have your cash, you have the receipt, you make a decision whether you reimburse it or not. So you fill out the proper form, which is expense reimbursement form if you want it reimbursed, or in a non-cash donation form if you want it to be issued. And then you get the tax credit. This one is for BLD fundraising with cash advance. So the fundraiser requested for a cash advance, then purchase the goods, has the receipts, then you have to fill out the cash advance liquidation, then we require the official receipts. For the sales, you have to fill out the sales liquidation and the gross sales. And this one is fundraising without cash advance. So similarly, it's a combination of the non-cash and the other form a while ago. The fundraiser spent and then has official receipts. Then you make a decision whether to reimburse or not. And then the gross sales, you fill out the form for the sales liquidation. And then the other two, you make a decision whether you have it reimbursed or to donate. And similarly, they all fall as a tax credit at the bottom. Okay, so how many minutes do I have for the FS? 2 minutes? Okay lang? Continue?
Continue. 5 minutes.
5 minutes? Okay. So, just to give you an update on what we have done for 2024, we've issued donation receipts for Vancouver, Saskatoon, Calgary, and Edmonton. Those are complete already. P3010 filing is already complete. And the change of directors, because this is a new term, we have to submit the change of directors. That's already complete. However, we're still working on the CRA My Business account kasi na manual filing pa lang tayo ngayon. So, we're still working with the previous leadership to transfer the information to the new one. The statement of operation. So we have, I'm presenting a 3-year comparison this time in order to provide you a comprehensive view of our FS, its trends and performance. This longer time frame helps us identify recurring activities such as events that happen every other year and to better understand our financial health over time. So in revenue, there was an increase consistently from 2022 to 2024 with a notable rise from 117,635 to 139,000 in 2024. This growth is primarily driven by significant increase in encounter fees and fundraising activities, as well as the introduction of grant revenue in 2024. So this is the grant from PepsiCo, 10,282. So the impact of that is that the consistent revenue growth indicates a healthy financial performance and a successful diversification of income sources. Expenditure side, total expenditures have also increased over the years from 112,000 to 126 in 2024. The rise is mainly due to higher encounter-related costs and administrative expenses, while the cost of fundraising has shown variability. So the increase in expenditures indicates a higher level of activity and investment in the charity's mission, but also necessitates careful management to maintain financial health. So the improvement in excess of revenue over expenditures, which is at the bottom, is there is a growing surplus which provides additional financial stability and resources for future initiatives, which enhances the organization's capacity to achieve its goal. Next is the statement of financial position. Similarly, I'm comparing it for the last 3 years. So there is an increase of 23% from 2023 to 2024, and that's a consistent growth. The impact is that the improved liquidity, which enhances the charity's ability to meet immediate obligations and invest in new opportunities. For the cash advances, you've seen that it was eliminated. It decreased from 3,038 in 2023 to 0 last year. Then fund balances rose by 16% from 2023, 62,552 to 72,340. There's a consistent increase, which demonstrates sound financial health. So a higher fund balance reflects the charity's overall financial growth and financial strength. It gives it the resilience to weather economic fluctuations. Total fund balances, there's a balance. The balance growth in fund balances and assets ensures long-term sustainability. And the total liabilities and fund balances, it grew by 18% in 2024, which indicates a healthy and balanced increase in both assets and fund balances. And the balanced growth shows the organization's capability to manage its financial resources responsibly, provides a strong foundation for future growth and stability. And this is the overview expenses per encounter. So there's a number of shortfalls in different activities. The overall shortfall across all activities is 13,959, which is a deficit, indicating that the total expenses significantly exceeded the combined cash donations and net of fundraising. FE shows 679 excess, suggesting that cash donations and net fundraising were sufficient to cover the expenses, as well as the NE has a positive excess of 2,678, demonstrating successful fundraising and efficient expense management. Mission has a shortfall of 4,529, as well as pastoral 3,064, 3,001, and YE 2,696. And this is the expenses per apostolate for a total of 111,528. And lastly, that's our cash and non-cash donations between the 2023 and 2024. The reason why I'm highlighting this one is for cash donations, there's not much difference. You see, it's 68,000 as 69,000 as opposed to 66,000. But for the non-cash portion, it has increased. There's an obvious increase for non-cash donations from 9,544 to 11,566. That's all. Thank you, everyone.
Thank you very much, management. You notice the presentation is basically very much abridged or short, simply because we could not really discuss it thoroughly. We are already grateful that they were able to present the 2024. Normally, we would be presenting it 6 months later. So we have to thank them, though we have to cut them short. But their work is not yet over. We will request them to create a video of what is a general, their initial presentation, that what is a general, non-charitable.
one video. Explain it fully in a video. We have technical people who will help you out. The second one is whenever you file sa government or any major agency, first page is the one that you fill up. What do you see at the second page? Any vouchers, any document that you file with the government or any agency. First page is the one that you fill up. On the second page is explanation. And then we will ask them to put it there already. And then we will ask them to put a third page, sample how to do it. That way, one-time effort, longer benefit. And next year, we no longer need to discuss about it because we will also place it in the BLD website or the YouTube channel. It saves the time. What they did when they presented to us was more than an hour. So we could not really discuss it. So they have very good inputs, but we don't have the time. We put it on record and then we place it on the website for every one of us to see and go back. Okay? So thank you very much.